The lights of Houston gleam under a humid evening sky, and the city breathes with a rhythm of ambition, of late-night ideas, and of women determined to rewrite their own narratives. In this episode, the pulse of the streets isn't just a backdrop, it is a reminder that in every corner of this city, somebody is choosing to rise, even when the world wants them to pause, and that is where your journey begins. Focusing on yourself isn't about shutting the world out, it is about finding the courage to stand firm in the midst of noise, to keep showing up when nobody is clapping yet, to move forward when the applause is still miles away. As the women gather, each one carrying her own dreams, scars, and silent battles, you can feel the weight of their hearts. They are entrepreneurs, mothers, wives, friends, but before any of that, they are individuals learning the most important truth: if you do not anchor yourself, the world will move you like a leaf in a storm. LaToria is preparing her restaurant opening, trying to create a space not just for food, but for a statement of presence. Chloe, bold and unapologetic, carries the energy of someone who has seen what happens when women settle for less than their worth. Alaina, with her beauty expertise, hides a tender wound that marriage has deepened rather than healed. Muneera left engineering to become a creator, proving that reinvention is possible at any chapter of your life. LeBrina is nurturing her spa business, and Roe is weaving her skills in hospitality into something lasting. Each of them is a mirror for the parts of us we either celebrate or suppress. The night of the restaurant opening glows with promising dresses shimmering, conversations overlapping, cameras catching every moment. But beneath the champagne toasts and the curated smiles, real lives are colliding, and that is where the lessons begin to whisper. It is easy to present perfection for an evening, but the real hustle is how you show up the next morning. The real heart is in what you do when the lights go off, when the guests leave, and when the only person left to answer to is the one in the mirror. To focus on yourself is not selfishness, it is survival. In a world that often profits from your distraction, your inconsistency is their gain. So here is the quiet challenge. Can you show up for yourself the way these women are learning to? Can you wake up and still fight for your dream even when yesterday bruised your ego? Because if you cannot learn to root your worth in your own soil, you will always live on borrowed ground. As the episode unfolds, Chloe notices the way Alaina's marriage seems polished on the surface but frayed underneath. The question comes out almost like a wound being touched. He's not fine, is he? And in that silence, we are reminded most of us wear masks not to deceive others, but to protect our own fragile sense of timing. We keep saying it's okay because we're afraid of what will happen when we admit it isn't. But healing begins the moment truth replaces performance. Think about your own life. Where are you putting on a show so others think you are fine? And more importantly, how much energy does it cost you to maintain that performance? Because every ounce of energy spent pretending could be invested in building. Every late night thought about what people will say could be turned into a plan about what you will become. Consistency is not about perfection, it is about refusing to abandon yourself in the middle of the process. Muneera speaks about her transition from engineering into content creation. People doubted her, some rolled their eyes, some waited for her to fail. But here's what she discovered. Your calling doesn't always come wrapped in approval. Sometimes it arrives in discomfort, in judgment, in whispers behind your back. But if you wait for the world to agree before you move, you will wait forever. Consistency is the art of showing up even when applause is delayed. It is the science of trusting small steps to create big changes. The women talk about grief, about healing, about balancing ambition with emotional chaos. And it becomes clear, nobody has it figured out. Not the CEO, not the planner, not the influencer, not even you, right now. But the ones who rise are not the ones who know everything, they are the ones who refuse to stop learning. They do not make consistency an event, they make it a lifestyle. And that is what you are being called to do, to turn self-focus into a rhythm, not a reaction. Imagine your life as a business you are managing. If you never check in on your mental books, you will run a deficit in peace. If you never invest in your emotional assets, your soul will go bankrupt. And if you only work when the world is watching, your real value will always be fragile. These women are showing that entrepreneurship is not just in their company, yes, it is in their spirits. They are investing in their own wholeness, even when the returns are slow. LaToria, amidst the sparkle of her restaurant's debut, knows that the food will draw people in, but her vision is what will keep them. She understands that in a city like Houston, where opportunity and distraction compete for your attention, The real rain you want to make is not just in money, it's in meaning, and you can only pour meaning out of a life that is not running empty. Alaina's pain is a quiet storm through the night. Marriage, the thing that was supposed to steady her, has become the weight she drags behind her. And maybe you know that feeling of when something that promised safety turns into a shadow. Here's the hard truth. Focusing on yourself sometimes means accepting that some things will break before you do. It means saying, I am not abandoning this dream, but I will not abandon me for it. Consistency is never built on pretending problems do not exist. It is built on being honest about where you are, so you can chart where to go next. Chloe's question echoes like a bell in the dark. Is he really fine? And in that moment, the show stops being a show, it becomes a mirror. How many times has somebody asked you how you are doing, and you gave them the version that was safe? And how many nights after that did you cry alone because you couldn't hold the real version in any longer? Let this be the episode where you stop lying to yourself for the sake of peacekeeping. Let this be the season where you learn that peace is never kept, it is made, daily, intentionally, relentlessly. Consistency, focus, hustily, these are not hashtags, they are habits. They are built in the quiet mornings when nobody texts you. They are built in the late nights when you cancel the noise so you can hear your own thoughts again. They are built when you choose discipline over drama, when you walk away from conversations that cost you your future, when you decide that being seen is less important than being solid. The women of Houston are messy, human, brilliant, contradictory, and that is why they are powerful. They remind you that you do not need to have a perfect life to build a meaningful one. You do not need to have applause to deserve to keep going. You only need one thing, a decision to no longer negotiate with your own potential. Focus on yourself, not because the world owes you success, but because you owe yourself the chance to see what happens when you stop quitting halfway. As the episode draws to its reflective moments, there is laughter, there is tension, there is the promise of next time. But beneath all of it is this universal truth: art without hustle is a dream that never leaves the paper, and hustle without heart is a grind that leaves you empty. You need both. You need the tenderness that keeps you human and the drive that keeps you moving. And both of them start with a simple, unpopular, revolutionary act: deciding that your own growth will not be delayed by your fear of being misunderstood. So here is the challenge for you tonight. Write down one thing you have been postponing because you wanted support first, and then ask yourself what would happen if I supported myself first, because that is what consistency is. Not waiting for the world to align before you take your next step, it is taking your next step so the world knows you are coming. Houston may look like another city on the map, but in this episode, it becomes a reminder, somewhere out there, people with less privilege, less help, less time, and more problems are still building. And you are running out of excuses. Build quietly, heal loudly, focus ruthlessly, show up imperfectly. That is the rain you make. Not just money falling from the sky, but discipline dropping in your habits, courage flooding your calendar, and self-respect soaking into every decision. Because in the end, the only applause that matters is the one you give yourself when nobody else is watching. Thank you.